but I appreciate the props, and it's great to be in the mighty Southland. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Everybody okay audio wise? This is my first Zoom meeting in a few weeks, so just want to make sure everything's working okay. Yeah, if you don't have your video on, I would appreciate it if you could turn it on so that way I can interact with you and see some of the things that you're taking from this. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. I was asked to share some pointers on the CUTCO kitchen today. And if I'm being honest, I really wasn't sure that I was the most qualified person because I've never actually sold a CUTCO kitchen. I've helped a lot of customers upgrade from what they have, maybe a few pieces, maybe a homemaker to a CUTCO kitchen, but I haven't sold a complete kitchen yet. But I do show the complete kitchen on every appointment because it helps the customer be familiar with the full extent of what CUTCO has to offer. And what I've learned is that they won't consider buying it if they don't know we have it. And so I think it's important and part of our job to be transparent with them and let them know that we aren't just a knife company. We're actually the premier kitchen utensil company, which is actually what the word Cutco is derived from, kitchen utensil company. And when it comes to the Cutco kitchen, I used to think the cost was so high that no one would spend that much on kitchen utensils. But what I found is that people in our target market spend this kind of money more often than I had considered. And so I started to consider why they might spend it here too. And I agree with Tony Robbins when he says the quality of the questions will lead to the quality of your experiences. And so a quality question I ask myself is, why is the Cutco kitchen a win for the customer? And when I started to ask that question, I came up with a series of answers that empowered my mindset when showing the kitchen in a way that transfers enthusiasm. And so I'm going to start by sharing some of those things with you today that help my mindset when showing the kitchen. And then I'll wrap it up by role playing how I introduce the kitchen. And so in order to have the right mindset, it really helps to realize why people buy Cutco. People buy Cutco because they like it and it improves their kitchen experience, not because they need it. When I started 8 years ago, customers used to tell me that they don't need knives. But my assistant manager, Josh Jones, taught me that not needing does not equal not buying. And in general, people don't buy things because they need it, unless it's food, water, or shelter, which are usually the only things we need as humans. We usually buy things because they improve the quality of our life. And so if you ask any Cutco customer, they'll tell you how much Cutco improves the quality of their life. And if you're on the SC2 Alliance, you probably have done some appointments with people that own Cutco. And you might have noticed that the more Cutco they have, usually the happier they are. And it's like a night and day difference when you talk to somebody with a couple knives versus somebody that has a set. And when I ask, a customer who has a few pieces of Cutco, what they think about them, they usually say they're great knives. But when I ask someone that owns a set of Cutco, they could go on for 30 minutes about how much they love the product. And so it's our responsibility to help create that happy experience for our customers. Because bad knives, cookware, flatware, and accessories are like an infection, and Cutco is the vaccine to all of our customers' kitchen problems. Now, another thing that helped me is kind of understanding that thousands of dollars is not a lot to spend for most people. Every single day, people are buying things that are more expensive than a Cutco kitchen or just as expensive because they believe it improves their quality of life. A couple common investments that most people in our target market make are bathroom and kitchen remodels. Sometimes remodels cost upwards of $20,000 to $30,000, and most of the time, the main reason for a remodel is just to make the kitchen look better. However, with Cutco, the kitchen not only looks better, but also works better because the products are functionally useful. Now, on a smaller scale, if you look at some of the individual components of the kitchen, our customers are making investments around that price point even more often. And so a few common products that cost near as much or more than a set of Cutco are Roombas, guns, iPhones, and raise your hand if you have an iPhone. I do. And put in the chat, hashtag Team Apple if you're an iPhone or iPad user. And so, yeah, Kubal, Jeremy, yeah, I'm in the same boat. Now, if you're an iPhone or iPad user, you probably know that after the warranty, all the charging cords, the screen protector, and the case, you're near or well over $1,000. And if you know what's crazy, we go right back to the Apple Store every couple of years and we do it again. And so Apple executives are probably salivated in their offices somewhere right now because they know that we're just going to keep coming back every few years. And just like you and I, we have customers who are also Team Apple. And being on Team Apple means that they're probably going to spend, think about this, over $10,000 on iPhones for themselves and their families over the course of their lives. And what makes me really excited to represent this product is that $1,000 investment in CUTCO today is basically going to be something that they can be a value for their customers' family for generations to come. And so I have the mindset that if our customers can be on Team Apple, there's no reason they shouldn't be on Team CUTCO. And so those are some of the things that, I've kind of reminded myself of as I'm showing the kitchen to transfer enthusiasm and give me confidence in the fact that whether it's a couple thousand for a part of the kitchen or the entire 10,000 for the whole thing is going to be value for the customer. And so in closing, I'd like to role play how I introduce the CUTCO kitchen so that you can hear how I go about building value in each section. In terms of building value in the kitchen, I found it helpful to let my clients know, what my happiest clients are working towards. And so my happiest clients have a goal for themselves and their closest friends and family to eventually own a complete set of CUTCO knives, cookware, flatware, and accessories. And so this is what I show during my demo. And I'll basically just let them know, like, this is a picture of your CUTCO dream kitchen, which is what many of our clients are working towards. My happiest clients have a goal for themselves and their closest friends and family to eventually own a complete set of CUTCO knives, cookware, flatware, and accessories. And so this picture is a preview of some of the things that I'll get to share with you today. We won't really have time to do pricing in between every product or program. And so I'll take notes, and you can as well when you see things that you might be interested in. And then I'll be able to show you what the best deal is available to you before we wrap up and go over the quotes from everything on your list at the end. My top clients will do everything on their list at once because they know it's the best way to save the most money in the long run, and they can afford to do so. But what most clients do is they'll start with a component that's their favorite and start with that. And then each time they see me, we'll build on it with another component. And then eventually they do own their complete CUTCO kitchen. And so I know that some of this might be new to you. If it's somebody that has seen CUTCO before, it might be familiar. But what I found is that people really just want to learn about things they haven't seen before. And so my goal today is to teach you about the programs that you probably didn't know we offer, and then give you quotes on what you think would be most useful to you. And then once you see the pricing, you can let me know what works and what doesn't, if anything. Easy enough. And then they usually nod. And that kind of gives you permission to go into it. Now, when it comes with, when I go over the knives, I'll usually downplay the homemaker by saying this is our basic set. And the basic set is the original set that we've had since the 1940s. And it comes with the basics that are usually the bare minimums that people need to get by. It's a great set and it checks all the boxes. But a lot of people prefer our family or complete set because the family set isn't that much bigger, but it does come with our famous super shears and a few other specialty tools. And then the complete set checks all the boxes. And so the complete set is the set that everybody wants, but not everybody can afford, but it is the one that everybody ends up with eventually anyways, because it does cover all the jobs that you'll ever need in the kitchen. And it's kind of like the complete tool chest that you might have in your garage for the kitchen. And so while you might not use every piece in the set every day, when it does come to the point where you need to cut a watermelon or a butternut squash, or one of those items that you just need a specialty knife for, it's always better to need it and not have it. To have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so then with the flatware, what I found when I'm building value in flatware is I usually just share 5 fun facts. And so when it comes to flatware, this is one of our best kept secrets, Mrs. Jones. Most people I meet with, they usually aren't considering flatware because they have 3 sets already. They have their wedding set, they have an inherited set, and they have a department store set. And sometimes they're up to their ears in flatware. But the reason they choose to invest in this is because they're ready to downsize, and they just want to kind of purge everything in their drawers and under the bed and in the basement and have one good set that they know they can use for the rest of their lives. And they choose CUTCO because we have had this same diamond-shaped design on our knives and our flatware for years. I had a customer who purchased a set from me 8 years ago, and we met with her a couple weeks ago, actually. She, needed to replace like 4 or 5 that she had lost. And she was surprised, pleasantly surprised that she could replace this design, because a lot of companies, they tend to totally change the design. But with Cutco, the diamond shaped design has been pretty consistent, and it's designed to match the knives as well. And so everything in your kitchen matches. And customers always appreciate that. But the value points that I bring up, I usually share 5 fun facts. And the 5 fun facts are: the flatware is USA made, just like the knives. They are an 1810 surgical stainless, which is considered to be one of the highest grade stainlesses you can buy. They're perfectly balanced. And so you can actually take a spoon or fork, put it on your finger, and it doesn't teeter-totter. It just sits there. And so that helps the customer understand how much it weighs in a virtual environment. They are guaranteed forever. Now, the guarantee is awesome. I can't promise to the extent that CUTCO will go for the guarantee, but I had one customer one time have a cool experience where she had dropped some spoons in the garbage disposal on accident, sent them back, got new ones for free. Now, obviously, that's CUTCO going above and beyond, but it's just an example of some of the things that, CUTCO has stood behind in the past. The fourth thing that I mentioned is the fact that they can actually pass them down. I actually think that's the fifth thing, the final thing. And so these spoons and forks are the kinds of things that will stay in your family for generations to come, because they'll always retain their quality and usability. Unlike a lot of flatware that gets passed down, it's very high quality and low usability because you have to polish it. So it tends to stay in the drawer and or under the bed. And then the final part of the CUTCO kitchen, when you're introducing it, are the pots and pans. And so, Mrs. Jones, this is our waterless, low moisture cookware. A lot of people think of CUTCO as a knife company, but the most loved product out of all of our products are actually our pots and pans. They are the most expensive product that we make, but for customers who have the knives and the pans, almost always the pots and pans are their favorites. And it's because they're easy to use, easy to clean, and a product that many of our customers will tell you have actually changed their lives. Now, many customers have told me that having our pots and pans are like having a smartphone when your whole life you've had a flip phone. But most people I talk to haven't really considered investing in good cookware until they see it, and kind of see how it makes things faster, easier, better for you, and better tasting. So I'll be sure to show you a quick demo video on what makes them a customer favorite. And so those are the ways that I would introduce some of the programs before kind of diving into the actual demo, to give them a quick kind of 30 to 60-second commercial on each program. And so I know Brad had said that he wanted to open it up for Q&A at the end. And so that's all I have for you. I hope it was beneficial and valuable. And feel free to put some of your most valuable nuggets in the chat if you'd like.
Yeah, Kip, that was spectacular. Appreciate you sharing all that stuff.
We have a question here from Miss Bailey Corona. She's one of our branch managers, and we're going to have her. Bailey, you are on to talk to Kip.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Kip. I loved the video we watched of you. So it's an absolute honor. Thank you for coming. And I think my question, I have a hard time selling the flatware. So just you going over, heirloom, you can replace them because, timeless design. Is there like a leading question that you say in the beginning of flatware at all? Or like a sentence to kind of reel them in to buy the flatware? Because I have trouble with that for sure.
Great question. Thank you for asking it. I like to intro with stories rather than questions. And I've found success with telling a story that may fit what they could relate to, of a client that I might have worked with or one of my colleagues has worked with in the past. And what I've noticed is when you tell a story and the customer nods, that's when you know they get it. And so I'll usually continue to sell stories until they nod. And so when I start with flatware, I'll just let them know, like, hey, I work with a lot of clients that have 3 sets of flatware. Like they have too much and they don't really need any more. And usually the customer will nod at that point. And when they hear that, they're like, yeah, I have too much flatware. And so what they do is they really like CUTCO because CUTCO gives them an opportunity to downsize, which is something that a lot of people in our target market want to do. And so, they can actually get CUTCO, purge their drawers, and take everything else to Goodwill. And then they have one good set that they're able to use for the rest of their life. And sometimes people will stop you and be like, oh, yes, I already did that. I have my one good set. And so that's awesome. You know, I have worked with a lot of people that have one good set already too. But I have heard from some of them that when they lose a piece or two, they have trouble finding replacements. And that's because flatware companies and stores, they want you to buy a whole new set when you lose a couple. And Cutco, you know, our motto is buy once, cry once. And so when you buy Cutco flatware, if you ever did need to, you know, replace them, this stainless design has been the same since they came out with it. And so you can always kind of sleep well at night with the peace of mind that you can get your couple replacements whenever you need to. And you know, that is usually, those two things is what I have found. I've gotten the most head nods, and then they're open to hearing some of the other benefits like the 1810 guarantee and all those other things, because they see themselves in the shoes of somebody who may be interested in flatware. And so Bailey, was that helpful? Do you have any follow-up questions?
That is brilliant. I just feel like the sky opened up and God answered me. Thank you.
Wow, thank
I
you.
think she might have just called you a Cutco god, Kip. I'm not even sure if that's what just happened, but anyway.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Kip.
We're going to catch up to Brad.
Really fantastic. Let me add Miss Chloe Webb. Hey, this is Chloe. She's also one of our branch managers from this summer. She was our number 2 rep in the region last summer with a little over 50,000, right at $50,000 in sales last summer. New rep. Chloe, you got a question for Kip the Great?
Yes. First of all, the way you articulate your words, so beautiful. Love it. My question for you is not really Cutco Kitchen related, but how did you sell $117,000 in a push? Oh my God. How did you do it? You don't sell Cutco Kitchens. Like, how did you do it?
Thanks. Yeah, my largest order was 3,800. And so I actually was working every day, all day. I think I had over 200 orders for the push. And I was really intentional about filling my schedule throughout the entire push. And so I really wanted to go big. So I talked to my managers, and I was kind of blessed because there was a test program they wanted me to be involved in. And so I got to do that, and it helps me have a full schedule for the entire push and put me in a position where I was able to work with customers pretty much from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Every day. And so I work with customers in a way where I make sure that they feel served and that they're learning something on every single appointment. And so then they're more open to making larger investments. And so even though I'm not selling Cutco Kitchens, I am showing it on every appointment, and people are more apt to doing 1 or 2 packages. And just showing the Cutco Kitchen has allowed me to have, you know, $700 to $100 average throughout my push, and really most of the last few years. And so it's a combination of those things, starting high, serving and teaching on every appointment, and then also ensuring that my schedule is full as well.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
It was
Nice.
fun. Yeah, I took a long nap afterwards.
That's great.
Yeah.
And one thing that I want to point out, everybody, is everybody was so shocked by the 200 orders that Kip wrote up. That's awesome. I was more intrigued by when he said, I'm working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Exactly what Bailey put in the chat. If you do that and you do it consistently for a push, you're going to write up 200 orders, right? Like, that's just how it happens. And Kip's just a master of just mastering his schedule. Kip, thanks for sharing that. Jay, but I'll pass back over to you. I just wanted to say that.
Nope, that was that was fantastic, you know. And I think when it comes to a push and people really wanting to go all out for push, because I hear it sometimes, I'll hear people say, you know, I want to, you know, rock on this push, but I got so much going on right now. Got a whole lot of things outside the Cutco. Well, you don't have your very best push possible if you allow anything else to happen during a push, period. I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm not saying everybody has to do that all the time. In fact, you know, Kip, you probably had lots of push periods where you kind of had good push periods, but not 100K, you know. But if someone really, really, really wants to do it, and how many years did it take for you to get to the part where you even understood what that really means, you know?
Yeah, it was a long time. It's like, I really thought I was working, but I wasn't actually maxing out my entire schedule. And so the last couple of years, I've been even more intentional about it. And I had my first 55K push last year. And by the end of it, I was like, ooh, I had like 6 days that I wasn't full. And so if you're really intentional about planning out your schedule a couple months ahead of time and finding out ways that you can fill the gaps with interactions and activity, then you can realize your full potential. And so there was a lot of years where, like you said, it took me a while to realize that, but it was, just looking at my schedule and finding out different ways that I could fill it with events and appointments and phone times. And now I'm a better person because of it, because, now I know how to really maximize my business, and so I'm excited to keep it going.
Yeah. What advice will you have just for people? Most of the people on here are reps either started in the last couple of months or even in the last couple of years, and $100,000 push is just, can't even really fathom it. Because they're, you've got a huge client database, but what advice do you have about, just the basics, getting referrals, making calls, doing the best that we can with what we have, because most people's brain automatically goes to all the reasons they could never do it, instead of, wow, if I were to do $100,000 push, how would that happen? What would that look like? What do you have any advice for people like that?
I think one thing that really helps me is field training. And so I'm really intentional about field training, and surrounding myself with people and environments so that I know to think bigger and trust that what I want to happen is possible because I've seen it. And so if there's a rep that you see on the newsletter often, reach out to them, reach out to your manager, have them connect you with them. So that way you can see some of the things and pull what they're doing that you might be able to add to your recipe of success. And so I'm really intentional about field training. I usually go about 3 times a year in person, out of state, to different areas. And if I can catch someone virtually as well, then I'll be, always reaching out to them, texting them, asking them when we can connect. As far as things to actually do, when asking for referrals and making calls and really the basics, I would say creating a goal for yourself as to one thing that you want to improve in each area of the business. So that way it's not overwhelming, and knocking things out one at a time. And so what is the biggest thing that can make a difference for you with referrals? And then who can you talk to help you improve that thing? And then a week or two of practicing that one thing, whether it's handling the objection or presenting the approach or setting up the text, the heads up text. And when you knock things out one by one, eventually you'll become a master at the entire part, right? And so maybe having a PC with your manager and identifying one thing when it comes to closing, and one thing when it comes to referrals, and one thing when it comes to phoning. And then to reach out to the people who are the best of those things and go field training with them and practice what you learned. And eventually building up to whether it's your first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or $100,000 push, it'll be a combination of all the work that you did to lead up to it.
Kip, what I love about what you're saying is that it's so, if people get it, it's so empowering that this is a learned business. This is a skill business. Nobody is born, with a double the edge, universe was our candle in the left hand and, basting spoon in the other or something. The point is that you, I don't know if you got this from the very beginning or at some point in time, you realize, you know what, I can learn how to do this business better, and it would be worth my time to learn it. Right. And if people can get those two things in combination, I can learn it and it's going to be worth it when I do, then the sky's the limit. Even if they're not here forever, even if it's only a 2-year deal while someone's in college, it's worth it to learn these skills because they're going to help in so many other aspects of life. But just your mindset about learning it and intentionally learning it. I love it. We got 2 more people with questions and we're just about out of time, but I'm going to go a little bit long just because.
What I love about what you just mentioned, Brad, is that tenacity to learn is so useful in so many other areas of life as well.
Yeah.
Not only when it comes to this business, it can be applied whenever you don't know something. When you learn to learn in CUTCO, you'll learn to learn in so many other areas too. And I was just talking about this with my brother. He was like asking for help with something. And I was like, so what have you learned so far? He was like, well, I was just wondering if you could tell me. And I was like, well, I can, but how about you go like look it up and then let me know if you want any clarification.
Yeah.
And so that's a skill that I just learned that I'm grateful for, is that when I don't know something, I go find it.
Learning to learn.
So when
So
you
good.
learn to learn in vector, then you'll be able to implement those skills in many other areas of life.
All
So,
right. Yeah, I love it. Okay, we're gonna get two questions here, Victoria and then Michelle. So Victoria, hit Kip up with your question.
Yeah. Hi. So I know that everybody reads from a script, and sometimes we learn to add things or take things out of the script. So for my question is, how would you build more value with the pots and pans set with using your own script? Or what advice can you give to a rep who's trying to build up more value?
when it comes to pots and pans, um, I would say showing videos. If you look on YouTube, there are some great videos of people using the cookware. Josh Mueller, Jason Jeffrey, Burt Wicks has some great videos as well. And when customers see the eggs sliding out of the pan, and see how easy it is for this person to clean off the stainless steel pan, that is a great way to build value in pots and pans. Another great way to build value is mentioning how unhealthy the fumes and the coatings and the chemicals that come from coated pans are. A lot of people think that when your pans start to flake, that's when they need to be replaced. But in reality, when you put a coated pan onto a heated surface, those coatings are evaporating into your food at a microscopic level. And so stainless steel is a healthy choice. And so that's one reason why people will choose to invest in CUTCO cookware. Another reason is the ease of use and the ease of cleaning. But the video is a great way for them to see it. And I'll tell my customer, like, a lot of times it is hard to believe it unless you see it. And so some friends and I put together a series of videos just so that you can see how easy it is to use and clean the cookware. And so I just pull up a video of Josh flipping the eggs, Jason cleaning off, and then I also have a video that I share of a saucepan where he puts chicken and carrots and apples in the pan, which some of you may have seen before.
That's Jason Jeffries too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So is it just, you have three key ones that you show then?
Yes. Yes.
Josh Mueller and the egg, I've seen that. And then Jason Jeffries cleaning up a pan.
So Jason actually has one where he is, I actually think it's at the end of the one that I just mentioned.
Same one. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's really those two. Yeah, my mom, my mom's had CUTCO cookware for a long time. I sold it to her, years ago, but I didn't know really how to use it like I do now, of course. And she'd had the CUTCO for 29 years, and I showed her the Jason Jeffries how to cook a 3-course meal in one pan, and I thought she was going to faint. She was so excited, and made it the very next day. I mean, the next day she went out and bought those things and like did it. And yeah, people get fired up on that. Okay, good. Great question, Victoria. And finally, this is gonna be our last question. It's gonna be Michelle Williams. And Michelle, you got to bring us home here. So it better be a good question.
Your background.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, use me. And I'm like the most basic question that I'm gonna have. I'm sorry. I was just wondering what, like, for your push when you did 100K, like that's amazing. Congratulations. What kept you going? Like, how many calls did you make? You said 200 sales. Like, how many calls did it take? How many demos did you do to get those? And I know I have bad call days and they drain me. So what kept you going through all that when you were, sometimes probably kicking yourself down? Like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah, I definitely worked a lot. My biggest adversity was that my assistant quit in the middle of a push. So that was the biggest adversity. And the way that I operate at my events, I need help in order to operate the event. And so I really was, like you said, kind of down in the dumps with trying to run around and find people to help throughout the second half of the push. And so that was the biggest adversity for me. And so I haven't really had a chance to go back and like break it down. People are like, what's your push breakdown? And I know a lot of it came from past customers. A lot of it came from the program I was testing, and a lot of it came from pink slips as well. And my goal was just to fill my schedule with as many service appointments that I could possibly do throughout the 3 weeks. And so it was busyness and crazy. But what kept me going was that I really wanted to earn, I guess, the record of like national record for residential sales for SE2. And so the most that anybody had ever sold in Vector East was Andy Jonti at 103, and then Brandon Brown 105 in Vector West. And so when I passed the record, I was really excited. And then Andy texted me and said that he raised it like a few days before our push ended. He raised it during his push period to 117. And so I was really working hard those last few days. I think I had 10K days the last 3 days in a row in order to get to 117.5. And so that was my big why. And also I want to start, shout out Kubi, I want to start doing some rentals as well. And I wanted to earn up a down payment for that. So that's what kept me going. I had some really big whys. And so the how was easy.
Yep. And I know you said you had a test program and you were doing things that not everybody has access to, like pink sheets, right? I mean, people don't even know what that is because that's old school, 10, 20 years ago type of things. But think about your first, 20K push or, some of those early on ones, and answer that same question. Like, what is it that kept you going when you had a bad call day? Could you address that?
Yeah, great. Thanks for bringing that up. I would say, I think Kyle Lopes taught one time that your environment is always going to trump your willpower. And so I was really intentional back then and still am today about choosing the right environment. And so I was in the office every morning, 8 a.m. I was in the office for 8 hours, sometimes 10 or 12 hours on Sundays, making sure that I was filling up my schedule for the week and really phoning. I remember sometimes being in the office and people wanting to talk and I felt rude, but I was just really committed to making the calls and having to tell them like, hey, I know you want to chat. I know we haven't seen each other in a couple of weeks, but I am really focused on my calls. And my manager would always thank me for being the guy that was like committed to phoning. And so if you're committed to continuing to making those calls and filling up your schedule, then automatically, because you're doing the activity, the sales will come. And so that's probably the biggest thing. What kept me going, big whys, and also the environment, because I was around other people that were continuing to go and I didn't want to let them down and I didn't want to let myself down either. And so when you set a goal and you share said why with your customers, that's another thing that makes a big difference. I think my average order is always higher during the push because I am more enthusiastic about the thing that I'm going for. And so sitting down with your manager and kind of reviewing the whys that you're sharing with your customers and doing the activity 50 reasons why has always helped me as well.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. I loved, of course, the quote you said you heard it from Kyle Lopes. I'm not sure if it was original from him or from somewhere else, but your environment will always trump your willpower. And I also love the fact that even when you're at your office and there were other committed people that were, in your corner, they became distractions too, and I think I see that kind of thing happen all the time. Reps will get an accountability group and it's good, but they'll actually end up, without realizing it, be distractions for each other by taking up their time to talk about good things, and the future. But if you're not making calls or you're not on a demo, you're not really working, right? Or at a training, I guess. So that's deep and profound and fabulous things. Kip, I have one last question for you, and then I will see if you have any final words of wisdom of any kind, anything. So here's my question. The G in your last name, is it a silent G or is it a hard G? I've heard people pronounce your last name in a few different ways. Mangira?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Mangira.
Yes.
That's my most important question for you today. Mangira. Because I never really knew, and I've heard it different ways. Mangira. All right. Last thing is words. Any final, 90 seconds worth of, hey, here's the best thing I can tell you today. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's our pleasure, without a doubt.
I think that, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. We've all heard that before. But starting by making a decision that you can will lead to finding the ways to make it happen. And so those would be my final words for you. Mm-hmm. It takes what it takes. You just have to decide that you want it, why you want it, and then the how will come And so best of skill to each of you during your SC2 push. I look forward to seeing the reports, and I low key hope nobody sells over 117.5.
I love that best of skill too, by the way, best of skill, not best of luck, best of skill. That's got to be a world famous hashtag coming up for you, Kip. I'm gonna open up the gallery view. You guys, let's just give some snaps or get some love in the chat box to Kip. Really fantastic. We owe you huge now, Kip, without a doubt. You know, I'm privileged to be on your,
another silver cup.
What's that?
That you can pay me back with another silver cup.
We win a silver cup in that page. Oh, because of your influence, we win a silver cup because of Kip, and we give you all the credit. I'm all about that. I'm for that. I am all for freaking that, you guys.